what's the scene that you are a little bit nervous to do, if any, and what's the scene that you are counting the days to film it?
The opening scene. Terrified. It's terrified because, you know, that's forever, my ass is forever on screen. You know?
How y'all doing? My name's Steve Weintraub. I'm editor-in-chief of a website called Collider. We have at least 5 readers, I swear. But enough about me. I would like to introduce Mr. Vince Vaughn. And Mr. Tory Kittles. First of all, let me start by saying there's no kids here, are there? I'm just making sure, how fucking awesome is that movie? Seriously. I love this film. So I have to start with, I think the most important thing. Many years ago, before you were very well known, you filmed a movie that was very popular called Swingers.
I wasn't in that, sorry.
That's true. We are very close to the coffee shop where you filmed that. It's like right up the street at the 101 Cafe. I don't know if that's what it's still called. When was the last time you were there?
It's been a long time, but it did switch ownership while we were still living in Los Feliz, yeah. But we used to meet at that coffee shop, John and I. The building that is the building that he lives in the movie, which was great at the time. I think they painted it. So that's really where he lived. We didn't have the biggest budget for Swingers at the time. But we used to go to that coffee shop, and every day we would sit and talk about the script and how we were going to get it made and what we were going to do. So that place was like command central for trying to get Swingers made at that coffee shop.
So for people that don't realize, it's literally right up the street. It's totally still there.
That's right. Marty and Elaine are still there at the Dresden too.
You've worked with Miller before, but talk for both of you. Talk about your first meetings with him and what struck you about those meetings and wanting to work with him.
I didn't meet with him before he gave me the part. Zala came to town. He saw every actor, and I couldn't be seen. I was doing a play. And so, unbeknownst to me, Vince, who I've known for a while, was advocating for me behind the scenes. And I got sent the script, read it after a show, got on the phone with Zala the next day. We talked for about 30 minutes, nothing too elaborate. I told him I loved the script. I knew exactly what to do with the part. We were both Florida boys. He said, I'm going to offer you this. That little Hollywood voice in the back of my head went, bullshit. But the next day, he offered it. And so I didn't meet him until, I was already hired and we started rehearsal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I met Czar because I was sent Raw and Cell Block 99 in my agents at the time. Yeah. I wasn't familiar with Czar at the time, but I remember it was sent and then I kind of was like, you're not going to do this movie. And then I read it and I said, well, gosh, this is the best thing I've read in forever. And then I immediately went and watched Vaughn Tory Kittles, which I loved. And so I went and did Raw and had such a great experience with Czar. He's such a unique voice and a tremendous filmmaker. And so when it came for this movie, me and Tori knew each other for probably 20 years.
Yeah,
we used to, very good friends and hung out a lot. And so when Tori's name came up, I've always thought Tori was a terrific actor, but it was really Czar was a fan. And I think it's really it's just who Craig is. He really doesn't follow or care trends or what is makes sense for financing, or he just kind of likes what he likes defiantly. And he was just a really big fan of Tori's and watching Tori. He said, this is the best guy for the part. So I said, you really, making a great decision. But it was really, Czar was definitely impressed, and rightfully so.
He was actually a fan of. He was a fan of the worst pictures I've been a part of. Seriously, there were things that he knew that I was trying to forget. And but he was a fan, and what he said to me was like, I saw consistency even in the bad pictures. So I know.
I asked Zoller earlier today for a question for each of you, so this is not mine. This is coming directly from him. For Vince, how many sandwiches did you eat in the car scene?
That was one we kind of had fun with. It was scripted there. Then I started saying, "Well, can I add some salt?" We started playing around and Mel had ideas, and so it just got out of control. But I don't remember. I think it was probably maybe 2.5 or 3. It's unclear. I started to really start with a very small amount left, but take a couple of bites of not the largest piece of sandwich. But yeah, that was. I don't know, it's one of those days you show up and then this becomes a focal point way more than we intended.
Tory, talk about the careful framing and staging that was required for the opening sex sequence.
Oh shit.
You look great in that scene. I don't know what you're all shitting about.
Thank you.
It's like, why are you all shitting?
No, you know what? It was a very small location, tight space, and it was a closed
Tight.
space.
Man, keeps it tight. You look good.
But it was a closed set, and so video. This is what I remember about the scene. Video Village was right behind me, and Barb, our script supervisor, was the only one in Video Village. Zoller likes to be next to the camera, so he was there, and Benji was there, but she was right behind me, and so what I realized, right when I lay down into the bed, that she had an eye full of ass, mine. And we started shooting the scene, and she would walk over to Zoller, she'd whisper in his ear, and we did that a couple times, and I didn't know what was going on, but apparently they were having some problems trying to keep certain things out of the shot. And this is so embarrassing. And anyway, so I talked to Vivian, the wonderful actress who was in that scene. She was super nice and super kind, and we worked it out a respectful way so that we could move things around so that they wouldn't fall into the frame. This is what? I'm killing it.
Let me ask you though, you talked about how that sometimes it can be a little tough that one of your first days filming, you're filming a love scene and you don't really know the person, it's a little bit awkward. Was that sequence you were doing, was that one of your first days on set?
Mine?
Only for you?
No, thankfully, no. The first thing we shot was the ending, the last scene, and we were at that beautiful house with the view, North Vancouver, and you look out and these ferries were sort of, going by, and the guy that owned the house was there, and he was, almost in every shot as well. He was sort of like, hey, get this picture. He was like trying to shoot the movie, but he was super kind because he gave up his house and allowed us to shoot there. And it was a great location, but that was the first day I shot. So the sex scene, I think, came midway. Why do we keep talking about the sex scene?
And that's when you noticed after about halfway when Barbara started showing you the proper respect on set, right? Like at first she just kind of like, hey, good to see you, Tory, good morning. But after that she was like, Tory, good to see you. Do you need anything?
Barbara's super nice. Super nice. I mean, look, if she could put up with my ass, I'm like, hey, okay, fine. If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, I'm all right with that. Next question.
For Vince, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the car, and a lot of stuff that happens in the car with you and Mel. You previously worked together, I believe, on Hacksaw Ridge. I'm sure you had a little bit of a relationship on that one, but what is it like getting to work with Mel like that? Filming with such great dialogue and just, these kind of meaty scenes in the car.
Well, Mel's such a terrific actor. I mean, he's, one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. That movie Apocalypto just blew my mind when I saw that film. Along with the other ones, Passions and Braveheart and everything. But we forget, as good of a director he is, he's equally as talented of an actor. You know, whether it's comedy or drama, he's just a terrific actor. So it was a lot of fun. You know, love Zoller, and the material was so terrific and specific to these characters. And it was great to see Mel in this part. I thought he was fantastic as Richmond. Just, you know, very subtle, very in the scenes, very believable, but so much going on inside of him and that character behind the eyes. And just done so beautifully, so fun to watch him.
For the two of you, when you get the script for something like this, the writing is so good and so unique, and he's such a unique filmmaker. What is it like to read this stuff on the page and comparing it to other things that you've read?
I mean, I don't think you can compare it to anything. He's very singular, and he has his own voice and his own style and his own way of doing things. It's very rhythmic. I mean, the comparisons would be like, okay, you know, Sorkin has a rhythm the way he writes. August Wilson has a rhythm the way he writes, the way the words fall on the page. But Zoller is the same way. He'll pit words against each other like true honest, you know. And so that, I think, is uniquely his own. And the best, I think, for me, what I really try to do is get out of the way of the writing. Because when it's good, you don't have to do much. You just try to you know, strip away all of the ego and the preconceived notions about how you would like to do things, and just sort of ride the wave that is the piece.
For me, this one struck me structurally because, you know, in reading it, I kind of, first time you spend so much time with Mel's character in mind, but we're not really the leads, and I sort of then started thinking, I thought of Sleepy Hollow, and that you kind of, that Ichabod Crane is really not your protagonist, right? You meet that guy at the beginning who's kind of the happy-go-lucky guy with the girl, and then Ichabod comes to town and takes over. And it's sort of similar here. Our opening scene in the piece is Tory with the girl. You kind of realize his life predicament. You meet his mother and his son, but then it goes away, so you feel like you're following the lead, which is Richmond and Anthony, but ultimately, no, the protagonist that you were set up to invest in at the beginning of the piece is actually Tory's character. So at the end, when he kind of gets the things that he's after, you know, he's in the house, you're really set up for that. So it's odd. You know, it's not something you see structurally all the time. And so I was really kind of going, God, this sort of works. It's kind of a handoff, but it's just sort of more of an abbreviated setup for a protagonist that you then kind of stay with the antagonist as it would be for a longer period of time.
I don't want to say any spoilers in case anyone's filming, but I want to talk about what, bridging on what you just said, which is what I loved about Jennifer Carpenter's character is that in a normal movie, she is doing a certain arc, and this film explores arcs that are not the norm.
Well, this is the stuff I love about Zoller, and I think what it does is you're taking someone who's shot and killed in a hostage scene, but you're sort of saying that all these people have a real life, that they're dimensional people that have things that are going on. So here you meet a woman who's so in love with her baby that she can't leave for work. And she really has something in her life that she wants to live for, that she's so obsessed with, perhaps in an unhealthy way, but this woman is not someone who does not want to be on Earth. And you spend that morning with her. And so when I was reading the script for me as a reader, I thought, okay, we're investing in this girl, and she's probably going to be the hostage, right? She's going to be the person now that's going to be taken at some point because now we've gotten to meet her and we've invested in her. And no, Zoller doesn't use her as a hostage. In fact, that kind of ends right away. And I'm only phrasing that way because you said there might be people for spoilers. So that was shocking to me. I thought, well, why did he spend time on this? And then I realized, and for me, how it hit me, we meet the other girl who we spend very little time with. We don't know her at all, the girl that ultimately becomes, if you will, the Trojan horse who comes towards us. So I like that he is a novelist, and I like that his movies are surprising. In Brawl, the woman is cheating, my wife is cheating, and yet that leads to a deeper, more vulnerable relationship where both people are accountable. It's not what is at the surface, and it's very believable. And I think in this movie, like that moment, there's things that happen that are unexpected, that are not something that you're used to processing, whether it's in a film or in a novel, and so it impacts you in a far greater way.
Well, one of the things about this is that he has the freedom that comes with a almost 2 hour and 40-minute running time, which is he can let scenes breathe. For me, I love movies like this that have a justified running time. For the two of you, talk a little bit about were you a little? It is a pretty long movie, but I think that's what makes this film work, is these scenes that let everything breathe.
Yeah, he allows you to spend time with the characters. I mean, I don't think there's a character in the picture that you don't know. Even the waitress in the restaurant, the first scene that you guys are having about the pumpernickel toast. I distinctly remember her reaction to them wanting to box it up after she just left, having set it on the table. And I felt her whole day. I felt all of her frustrations. I could see her whole life in that one scene, and that's what Zoller, so brilliantly does, is he allows you to invest in these characters. There's no character in the picture that's taken for granted. And so when the conflict does happen, you care. You care because you spend time with him. He's not like, hey, here, take a little piece of this and then I'll pull it away. He's like, no, sit with this for a minute, think about this for a minute, and now feel this.
I also think, being motion pictures, with Zoller particularly, you can turn the sound off. The visuals are so odd, in a storytelling way, that you have, I dye my hair. You and Michael J. White kind of go whiteface. You have that weird place that you drive through with all the different objects that you go past. The image of the guy on the ground from the bank, from the car driving. So you're also processing, visual things that are all around you. And each time I watch the movie, it's almost like a frozen painting. That's kind of an odd, strange, put together painting that's actually sort of beautiful and says a lot in and of itself.
I actually wanted to bring up what you got working with cinematographer Ben. I want to make sure
Benji
Bakshi, who also shot Bone and Brawl.
Yeah, Benji family or friends.
So I'm just curious if you could just share some stories about working with him and what he brought to the table.
Benji's terrific, and him and Craig work very much in tangent. I think that the shots to them are, they're telling the story. I think the nice thing is everything kind of complements each other, but there's definitely a lot of point of view and thought, in these frames, and yet I think that they don't overwhelm the piece. It's not, so important and try hard. It's complementary. Everything sort of works well together, but I think that, everything that you're seeing is very specific and thought out.
He's also like a set ninja. You never really hear him, while he's setting up these shots. You don't know. He's just sort of quiet in his space, but when you do see him working, he's thinking about it. You know that he's creating this canvas and this texture that's going to, pull you into the scene.
How much, I'm not familiar with how much is storyboarded in the moment, or how much is storyboarded pre-vised, and how much are they figuring it out in the moment?
Well, we don't change much. We rehearse the scenes in so much that we'll read through them. They're not always necessarily blocked. And there'll be conversations occasionally with blocking, or where should we stand, or how does it play out. But it's not like you're just showing up and falling right into something. Craig has a very strong opinion about what he wants, but he's also able to get to the location and sort of find that with the different departments.
I'm curious,
How about the music in this fucking thing?
Everything about this movie is fantastic. This is just one of those special films.
The guy that is singing in the song, when you guys make the joke about who's singing, is it a woman or a man? That's actually Zoller singing.
Yeah, but not in traditional Zoller voice.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like that.
But I just marvel at it that this guy writes all of those songs. He literally, as he's editing the movie, he writes and composes all of those songs. And then he has like the OJs perform those songs. It's unbelievable the level of talent and specificness that he has. But he's writing and producing, in this case, jazz pieces that are fairly complicated, as well as soul songs and gospel songs. And he really, he's so detailed with it. This music and brawl was the same, and in this movie, and I just find it to be just remarkable to have a filmmaker that really is also writing original pieces and composing them along with writing the piece and being so involved in every aspect. I think is just crazy.
I don't think I think Clint Eastwood maybe composes some stuff, but I don't know many filmmakers, or am I wrong? Are there other filmmakers that do that?
Yeah, I'm not aware. Yeah, they're composing and writing songs. I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, I think Eastwood did for Mystic River, but he's not singing.
Very true. Talk a little bit on set. You guys made this for a reasonable budget. It was not some lavish production. How is it when you're making a movie? How was it on set for this one in terms of, are you getting more than 3 takes? Are you, what was it like? What was the energy like on set?
It's grueling. It's a grueling shoot. I mean, Zoller says this. It's just the nature of the ambition of the page count and the budget and all of that kind of stuff. So it's, I mean, these guys had it very challenging because you guys were sitting in makeup for very long periods of time. It's a lot to get done. I mean, we're all similar in some ways. It's worth it, and the movies, once they're committed to it. But it can be a very, very long process. That being said, we never walk away from a scene without Craig feeling like he has what he wants. And if you ask for another take, he will accommodate you most times.
Did you ever shoot the rehearsals, or is it always the rehearsal and warm up a little bit and then you shoot it?
Well, I think we rehearsed a couple of weeks before we started. I think at least a few weeks. Mel and I got together. Didn't have any scenes with you, which sucks.
Crazy.
Yeah. Michael and I rehearsed together, and so by the time we got to set, we were all of us were living pretty close to living in those characters, and so it wasn't too much of a rehearsal. We would do a run through, or we talk about it, amongst ourselves, and then we step on it and we shoot it. So it wasn't too much rehearsal. We didn't do too many takes either. If Zoller felt he got something early, then he got it. He didn't feel like he needed to overshoot it. But if he didn't get it, like I said, he's very specific. He knows exactly what he wants, and he'll spend time to get it the exact way he wants.
Memorable moments from filming. For each of you, what's like the day or two that you are always going to remember?
I have no interest in being white. That was
not the answer I was expecting.
No, you're right. That was tough. I asked Zoller because I was like, what's the idea? Like, what's Henry Johnson's idea behind the white face? And he said to me, well, Henry's idea is, how else can you walk into a bank with a gun and nobody pays attention to you? And I thought, yeah, that's about right.
Unique memories from the set. Let's see. The final sequence, if you will, with the van and all that, I just felt like I was in a Museum of Modern Art or something. It was just the aesthetics of it was so just kind of vacant and specific with like the van, and then we put the mask on. And that whole set experience felt like almost we were floating in a different space. It was so late at night. We were only shooting, obviously night shoots, so you kind of get tired and get fatigued. And then what we were shooting was so kind of climactic and odd, and just all the cars and props that were involved. That was very almost like a haze.
Was anchovy always in the script?
Anchovy was always in the script. Yeah. I think it says a lot that the character doesn't has somewhat of a conscience, and that there's things that, obviously what I like is all the characters are complicated, but I think it suggests for Anthony that he's attempting not to swear. And it goes along with not really being gung-ho to jump into this case from the beginning. So it's comedic, but it also is saying like someone who is oddly choosing not to participate in kind of the vulgar language. And then of course he is, brought along with his friend against his better judgment. It's sort of a morality kill from those characters' point of view.
For both of you, when you're getting ready to film, you say like you're a week out, how much are you memorizing almost all the dialogue, what you're really going to be doing, and how much is it sort of like the night before you're doing the cram session for the following day?
Oh, I like to know it all so that I can forget it. I don't like to learn on the fly. I like to spend time with it. And, that was one of the benefits of having a rehearsal period was that you can actually, get it inside your bones. I like to say, there's a guy I work with. I think he's here tonight. Tom Draper, who's my acting coach. I always run over things with. And so I like to know it so that I can forget it. I don't like to learn on the fly, but sometimes it is called for that. I've been on pictures where, you show up and there is a rewrite and you do have to just sort of go with it, But at that point, hopefully you've done enough of the character work so that it's still coming from that character. It's not about the words so much, it's more about the intention.
I like to memorize it and then forget it, so then I'll have to revisit it the night before. I like to be off book with it well before I get to shooting, but then I won't look at it too much prior to that once you're kind of in the flow of shooting. So that the night before I'll kind of go back to it. And I do think more in, it's like improv, you sort of, you kind of have ideas about it and you sort of drop it and just kind of go to the scene and listen. And sometimes see what happens, There's preparation, I guess, to forget.
I've spoken to some actors that love to listen to music before a take. Some love to do push-ups. I've heard so many different stories about what people like to do on set. For each of you, how do you typically like to work on set, and how did it gel with the people around you?
A lot of push-ups and music for me. I'm cranking the tunes. I'm pumping up the pecs, and then I'm looking to shoot. That sounds awesome. But there are people who are like that. Can't talk to them. In morning clothing, you fucking scare them because they gotta pump up real quick. Get and they're in the scene.
I'm talking about my process.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think there's a time and place to do stuff depending on what the scene calls for. I have used music because I think music can take you so far emotionally so quickly, but it's not a constant for me. I like to stay loose and be prepared so you don't have anything that you're nervous about that day. So I can kind of be loose and doing what I do. I feel like I do a better job, and then I can kind of step in and focus when it's time to step in. But there are scenes that you feel, cause a little more preparation than others.
For this, we did a screening of Raw in Cell Block 99 right before we started shooting, and I was blown away by Zala's music, and so I started listening to that soundtrack. So I listened to that soundtrack all throughout this picture. And sometimes I use music because, like Ben said, it will take you emotionally to places, and it's a good way to zone out. Sometimes on a set, put your headphones and listen to something to set a mood or a tone that you want to achieve. But yeah, I've done push-ups on sets too.
There's nothing wrong with that. Right before the love scene, did you pop out a set? Did you get a quick Bible set in?
Well,
or was that more squats?
So, Barb was looking so much to make sure that I was, pretty tight. A couple crunches.
Do you remember? I mean, the movie's pretty long.
I always figure at that point it's too late, isn't it? Like, what's the set of push-ups going to do at that point?
No, I was getting tips from Michael John.
I know, like they go.
Michael
knows what he's doing.
Michael knows what he's doing.
knows what he's doing.
I do not. So
But
I was
still
asking
saying,
Michael.
Yeah, I get it.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I think the push-ups should probably happen months before. What's the next question?
The movie's pretty long, but I'm curious if there was any deleted scenes. You remember?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Not that I'm aware
We
of.
shot the whole script. What you see is the whole script.
It's amazing. I mean, it's so interesting what Zoller is able to accomplish with his films because it's just a very unique voice and very unique style. Did you ever get the vibe on? How was it on set if you missed a word? Is he watching every comment?
He's so easy to be around. I mean, he would remind you he cares about his dialogue, but he doesn't bring an energy that feels prohibitive. But his process is so amazing. He writes 5 pages a day. He won't write more than that. Where a lot of writers feel like, okay, if they're getting hot and something's coming, then why not keep going? But he forces himself to stop. And I asked him why. He said, because it gives me the rest of the day to kind of flip over in my mind what's the next thing that's going to happen in a way that's not expected. So he'll kind of spend the rest of the day thinking and going, okay, for instance, I know they have to rob the bank, but what's the way they could do that's not what we've seen, or an interesting way of doing it. And then he'll rewrite the pages from the day before, right? He kind of does his first rewrite simultaneously. So he'll go back to the 5 pages that were written the day before, and he'll rewrite those. And then he'll write his new pages, and even if he's getting excited, he'll stop and do the process. He does this on novels. He's currently, I believe, writing his first comic book that he's created. He is just a very passionate, meticulous, committed, very unique voice.
For both of you, talk a little bit about filming the action. Is it something, when you're reading it on the page, that you're excited to do? Because from what I understand, action takes a lot of time to get it to be right.
So you guys have that, even Mel had the more elaborate fight scene.
Yeah, we had the fight scene, but Mel's such a pro. He's been doing this, and obviously all the action movies he's done, so he knows exactly how to do it. And you always try to create a space where you feel safe and that no one's going to get hurt. And even within the fight, it's still about telling a story. So we wanted to be we were very conscious of that. Zal was very conscious of, okay, we're not just having a fight scene, all out, drag out, knock down, blows for blows, just because that's going to be cool. It's like, okay, what story are we telling and how are we going to tell it? And the scenes, the fight scene was designed for that. And even the scenes, the shootouts, they were more about bringing it down as opposed to taking it up, that you see in a lot of action movies where it's just, hey, let's blow this thing out. But Zoller is all about subtlety, and he's not afraid of that. We obviously know he's not afraid to let things breathe, and it's the same way within the fight scenes and the shootouts.
One of the things, the most important, one of the things you really need is a powerful and scary villain. And something about this movie is you have someone or a group of people that are ruthless. So talk a little bit about that aspect of the film.
Yeah, they're just very specifically unemotional, and they kind of establish right away what they're prepared to do. So it makes it such a formidable force coming towards you. And just the stuff like it's just cool and weird, like using the electronic thing at the bank is so crazy, right? And then I've been when he shoots up the store at the end, he does a good job of tone.
One of the things, though, there is a pretty graphic scene. Again, I don't want to do spoilers, but where someone's cutting into something. Can you look at that when you're as a film fan? Can you watch that yourself, or do you turn away?
I will admit, I was up there tonight in the back corner eating M&Ms as I was watching that scene. My mother's a nurse, so there's not much that makes me queasy. Spent a lot of time in the hospital, so I was fine with it. I was like, oh, okay, we don't want to talk about it because of spoilers, but yeah, that's happening again, and I was like, that's cool. No problem.
I have to do that thing with my mind where I have to go, this is fake. Like, this is not real, but it still makes me a little, I don't like it. But then I have to say to myself, they're not really doing this, but then I go, yeah, this does make me a little. So I don't like staring at that kind of stuff like medical shows or things like that. But I can watch it as I talk myself through it, reminding myself that it's not real.
The sound is the more of the thing that gets me rather than the actual picture in this. It's like the sound of it cutting. That's the thing that sort of gets me.
Before filming begins, you're looking at the script, you see what's in front of you. What's the scene that you are a little bit nervous to do, if any, and what's the scene that you are counting the days to film it?
The opening scene. Terrified. And terrified because, that's forever, my ass is forever on screen. So terrified of that, but also wanted to make sure that it was, respectful with the actress and that we, talked about and it was done in a manner and handled in a way that we both felt, comfortable and safe, and also that it was going to, play nicely, for the story. And then the last scene, I was very excited about the scene with Mel in the car when everything turns. There's so much about Henry Johnson's character that for me was when I read it, he was always a couple steps ahead. And so when, his adversaries were talking about his grammar and focusing on how he was saying what he was saying and what he was saying, they were missing what he was doing. He was always ahead of them. And so when it comes to ahead, and Richmond is the first person to actually say that, and I love the way Mel delivers it, he just said, you're a whole lot smarter than what you sound. a whole lot smarter from what I've seen. And he's recognized that, oh man, this guy's been ahead, and that makes him uncomfortable, and so he panics. And what we do when we panic, we get fearful, and he makes a mistake. Because that whole scene could have been worked out so differently if he didn't. But that's when he realizes, and that's what I loved about, really loved about that Henry Johns in that moment, is that, he says it's good to be underestimated because nobody saw it coming except him.
I don't know if there was one particular scene, but I just, the whole piece was really, Zoller stuff is, to me, just, so fun to go and dive into, just to go be in those situations. And I was excited just to see the stuff that I wasn't in, because I liked it so much when I read it, I wouldn't say there was one particular scene I was dying to do. Just the whole piece I was really excited. It's so rare, sadly, that there's unique pieces that don't fit in. It's hard to not make you don't want to make a 3-minute pop song. It's really challenging nowadays, So it's just so nice that there's a piece with the voice that, Zoller's whole process. He doesn't test the movies. I think they show it to like 10 people, and the only question he asks is, are you confused? But he's not asking for anything else, because he's sort of a singular voice, and I really like that about him, and it's fun, and it's refreshing to go to work with someone we're not working from a place that is everyone going to like it, or is all the audience is going to accept it. He's really trying to tell a very unique story that he's passionate about, whether it's the music, or the characters, or the world, or the morality tale, the things. And I also like for Zoller that it's not like, he doesn't have a big, where he's not there saying, I'm going to change the world. He's just really like enjoying this particular story. So I'm just excited to work with him, because it is so different than most journeys are so far more concerned with being like than what it is when you work with Craig.
You and Zoller are 2 for 2, both incredible movies. Please tell me you guys have talked about doing something else.
We have some other stuff. It's funny, Craig, I should say some other stuff, but he doesn't make it easy on himself. I think it's out as a book, and you should read it. It's one of the most beautiful things I've read. This would be a PG movie. It's a kid's movie. It's in black and white. And the lead of the movie is an orphan that is an animated puppet. And the rest of the people in the piece are human. And it's about an orphan. It's called Hug Chicken Penny. But it's a very, very, very long script, and it's not a very obvious choice, although it's quite beautiful. Really, really well done. So he just writes to his likings and his tastes, but it's a terrific piece.
I also am curious, one more follow-up for you. You've been working in the industry for a long time. Have you thought about getting into directing yourself?
I have. I've collaborated so many times in different ways. I've written things, and I've edited on stuff before and produced things. And I would. My kids' age right now, I've really enjoyed being with them, and I've been having fun going and doing things that I want to do, whether it's Hacksaw or the stuff with Saw. I really enjoyed that Fighting with Your Family movie I got to do with Stephen Merchant too. So I've been having fun doing picking things that I've enjoyed. I would be open to it potentially, but it's not something that I'm in the immediate pursuing.
Yeah, that's another really good movie. Fighting with My Family. I want to see if there's any questions out here. We have time for just a tiny little bit. Does anyone? It's really hard to see from here. I see something right there.
Real quick, Vince, can you talk about the car scene in Brawl?
Yeah. That was really the thing that made me want to do the movie, was that the character, you realize that he's coming home from a bad day of work, and then he sees that his wife is cheating on him, and that his rage is so high that he tells her to get away from him. And then the car is what's in front of him. And you could see someone getting mad, maybe punching a wall or throwing one thing, but this gentleman has so much rage over this that he's going to rip the whole car apart. And said a lot. And then it really, when I got into the ripping of the car, we just sort of went for it, You just sort of have to really let the rage, try not to get enough rage in you that you try to fight against it and let it really overcome you. And then when you're in the scene, it made the scene so much more interesting because you saw what he was capable of, and now he's talking to her, and yet he is somewhat accountable and vulnerable. So that was really just very surprising, and I thought very believable. I thought, I really buy these people. They're not that, Zoller's not writing people saying, look, everyone is the best then, or this is how you should live their lives. He's really writing people that are trying to keep their head above water and trying to do their best, who have their limitations, which makes for very interesting characters to watch.
I see another hand raised.
I wanted to ask both of you, what scenes did you feel were the most challenging for you guys as actors?
I think just the schedule and sometimes the process of then, having it come down to being in the scenes and the fatigue of shooting. There wasn't a scene for me that was particularly the most daunting or hard. It was the longevity of the shoot. We didn't have enough days for the material and the night shoots and just the demands of the piece. Where sometimes you're modulating characters slightly, you're not necessarily shooting in order because it's a gradual descent into where is this going, what are these bad guys stealing, and depending on where you're at, you're sort of, the character's tired or not, or you're really aware of what's happening, or you're kind of suspect, or you're afraid. So it was just, making sure that you were dialed in and focused for each scene.
For me, it was the whole night sequence. It was a very tough sequence. I think we shot over the course of 3 weeks. 3 weeks, it was the last 3 weeks of shooting. And where we shot was out in Surrey, which is about an hour and a half away from downtown where everyone was staying. And we shoot till the wee hours of the morning. We hit traffic coming back into the city, so sleep was about, on average, 3 hours a night. At the time, I was also coming up against going back into a show called Colony that I was on at the time, and I was prepping that as well, so there was some overlap there. And so the last sequence was really tough. But I think something creative sort of happens within that space where you don't have all of your normal faculties, and you sort of give into just wherever you are in that moment, in that space, and what's required of you. And I think some really honest work came from everybody within that space, even though it was very tough, but everybody was committed to making it happen. And Zala was, he was the leader in that. But that whole last sequence was not an easy one.
I see a hand right there.
I'm a big fan of season 2 of True Detective is, and one of my favorite quotes from, thank you. One of my favorite quotes is, sometimes your worst self is your best self.
Right.
I was wondering what that meant to you.
I love Pizzolato, and you were on season 1, Tori was in season 1, you know Pizzolato well too.
Yeah.
I love Nick. I actually was texting with him tonight. Well, I think sometimes the piece is the piece. You don't, overindulge it. But for me, I think he's kind of at that point was attempting to be something he wasn't. Was trying. It's so odd because in that whole thing, I think you meet the character and he's very insecure, not comfortable in the element that he's in. He's trying to go straight, if you will, and be a businessman. And very Vaughn, trying to be articulate and trying to be kind of refined, and it's not his nature. And I think as he starts to realize that he's been outmaneuvered and outplayed and sort of left in the cold, that sort of becomes the realization that sometimes your best self is your worst self. This is who I am. And for better or for worse, I know who I am when I'm this person. And this is where I run my life from, and I'm going to revert back to that at this point in time. This is, at least I know who I am again. And sometimes my best self in that, for the character I think in that moment is his worst self. That's what keeps him safe. It makes him feel safe interacting with people.
On that note, I want to
I also
say,
want to say Jennifer Carpenter is tremendous. She's so great in this movie. And Don Johnson as well. And Michael was so cool to see Michael, because I always expect Michael to kick someone's ass in a movie, and I love it when he does. And then he does it in this movie, which is so kind of great because you get to appreciate him as an actor in that.
And Melman was so great too.
Yeah.
How funny is he?
Who do you care?
I was just going to say, thank you both so much for doing this Q&A. Thank you all for coming out.
Well, I want to say to you, you are just so tremendous. You are such a lover of films, and little movies like this, or movies that that are odd and don't get all the main attention, you always go out of your way to highlight them and to help bring them to audiences. And so we are so grateful for everything that you do. And I appreciate you. And also thank you to all you guys who came out tonight and to check it out. We appreciate it.
I was just going to say that if you, this is like an indie, this is only playing here in LA. If you liked it, you should totally go on Facebook or Twitter, whatever you're on, and, you know, try to get the word out to get people to come out and see it.
Thank you.